We've talked a lot since August about the decline of the NBA and its television ratings. Even though the mainstream sports media was acting like they were perplexed as to why no one was watching the NBA, if they were even talking about it at all. Those that were talking about it, they were making excuses as to why millions of people turned off LeBron James and the rest of the NBA. But even though the media was perplexed at the declining ratings, you and me, we knew why people were not watching. It's the same reason people are tuning out of ESPN right now, who hit a 41-year ratings low earlier this summer. Led by LeBron James and co-signed by Adam Silver, the NBA decided this summer that they were going to go woke. And as a result, between 10 and 12 million people decided that they didn't give a damn about watching LeBron James in the NBA Finals. Now, that being said, I haven't really talked much about the NFL's television ratings. I was critical of the NFL before the season started because it seemed like they were going to follow the same path that the NBA did, especially during week one, where they treated us to not one, but two national anthems. The Chiefs and the Texans, they had that I don't know what the hell it was called, a unity stand or something, whatever it was. Both teams met at midfield and locked arms to protest against racial injustice or something. The Texans, they upset some fans by leaving the field for the playing of the national anthem. Now, to their credit, they didn't come on the field for the black song that they played either. However, and also to the NFL's credit, ever since week one, the NFL's pretty much left politics alone. My only gripe with the league right now has been the fans not being allowed to attend games, but that's not the NFL's fault. The blame for that is on the local politicians. I just wish the NFL would take more of a stand against these idiot politicians like the Saints have done recently. The Saints have been imploring New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell, also known as LaToya the Destroyer, for weeks to begin letting people into the Superdome. Roger Goodell, he's even written her a letter talking about how important it is for fans to be allowed into the Superdome in New Orleans. Now, up until yesterday, she wasn't listening. She insisted it was just too dangerous. But yesterday afternoon, she came out and said that she was going to start letting people come back to the Superdome in phases. Now, it's not perfect, but it's a start. And I would actually like to see the NFL do more for what they did in New Orleans for other teams around the league, mainly in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, places like that. Anyway, back to the NFL's television ratings. NFL ratings are down this year. There's no doubt about it. Unlike the NBA, though, the NFL's actually had a few bright spots. At least, at minimum, one every week. Take week 3, for example. Of the 4 nationally televised games that week and the regional games that were on Fox and CBS, 4 of the 6 were down in the ratings. Sunday Night Football between Green Bay and New Orleans, down 4%, but it was still watched by almost 18 million people. But the NFL saw a couple of increases over last year. Dallas-Seattle on Fox in week 3, the 3:30 time slot. It was up 1%. Nearly 23 million people watched. Monday Night Football, Chiefs and Ravens. It was up 32% over last year. 14 million people watched. Now, week 5 saw numbers down across the board, double digits. Eagles-Steelers on Fox, down 23%. Raiders-Chiefs, CBS, down 12%. Vikings-Seahawks on Sunday Night Football, down 17%. NBC has especially been hit hard this season in terms of the ratings. Ratings for Sunday Night Football on NBC are down an average of 18% over 2019. NBC is the only network that carries the NFL that hasn't seen an increase in ratings over last year at some point this season. Now, even though the NFL has seen some ratings increases here and there, for the totality of the season, the ratings are down. Now, they're not in a critical mass situation like the NBA. The NFL hasn't seen 50, 60, 70% drops in the ratings, but the ratings are down enough to at least cause just a little bit of concern. It's difficult to determine just how much the ratings are down for the 2020 season so far. Some outlets claim it's only 5%. Some claim it's 10 to 15%. Now, even with the drop, the NFL is still averaging between 15 and 20 million viewers for the majority of their nationally televised games every week. The question is, why are the ratings down this season when compared to 2019? I've seen some use the typical cord-cutting excuse, but that is not the reason. People who use this excuse are uneducated as to how television ratings are actually computed. Streaming numbers are included in the ratings, so if someone watches the NFL on Hulu or YouTube or Netflix or whatever the hell streaming service that you want to use, those numbers are included in the final ratings. Maybe it's the presidential election. I've seen some media outlets compare their ratings this year to 2016, which is the last time that the NFL saw a decent ratings decline. Naturally, they decided since there was an election in 2016 and the ratings were down, and there's an election this year and the ratings are down, then that's the cause for the decline. Now, in addition to the people that are making that point, cable news ratings are through the roof. Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, they're setting ratings records. Now, while I understand why some could believe that the presidential election is the cause for the ratings decline in the NFL, I don't believe that's the case. There is only one explanation that makes sense to me why the NFL has seen a drop in their television ratings. All summer, the league, led by Roger Goodell, seemingly went on this apology tour to the woke movement. Roger Goodell apologized to Colin Kaepernick for the way he was treated 4 years ago when he made his little protest by kneeling for the national anthem, which in turn started a trend where other players knelt for the national anthem. The Minnesota Vikings this summer donated $5 million to social justice causes. The Baltimore Ravens, they put out some type of statement of demands or whatever it was. On Monday Night Football Week 1, the Steelers held a protest banner during the singing of the national anthem. All of this stupidity went on over the summer and into Week 1 slate of games, and many NFL fans just were turned off by it. They weren't happy about it. I know that my comment section on a couple of my videos was full of people saying that they weren't going to watch the NFL and they were going to be this political. Since Week 1, though, the NFL, to me anyway, has been normal. It hasn't been political. There aren't announcers promoting social justice politics during the middle of games like we were subjected to during the NBA playoffs. The only political thing that I've seen from the NFL since Week 1 is the commercials or the PSAs that they put together encouraging people to get out and vote. Now, they're not encouraging you to vote Democrat or Republican. They're just encouraging people to vote, which I don't think is a big deal. Maybe other people think it is. If the NFL has essentially removed politics from the league since Week 1, why are the ratings continuing to drop with each passing week? It seems like every week it gets worse. Now, I'll give you just a little theory of my own. I actually think the NBA is partially to blame because the NBA was so uber political. I feel like a lot of people felt the NFL was going to be the same way. Now, because they're not watching, they don't realize that the NFL is not nearly as political as the NBA was. So the political stain from the NBA has rubbed off on the NFL. The Drew Brees situation over the summer, I don't think it helped matters either. Many people were pissed off that it seemed like the entire league blasted Drew Brees for comments that he made about him personally never kneeling for the national anthem. Then those same pissed off people were even more pissed off when Drew Brees apologized for his comments, and then apologized again, and then apologized again. Much like the NBA, the NFL didn't realize that the majority of their paying fans weren't woke. This is where the league, I feel like, went wrong. They should have known better. Roger Goodell should have known better. He should have known that woke politics or social justice politics, whatever you want to call it, he should have known that embracing it would not be a popular decision and wouldn't be a smart business decision either. Like I said earlier, the ratings dropped double digits 4 years ago when Colin Kaepernick and other players began to kneel for the national anthem in protest of police brutality. Now, when did the NFL's ratings start to go back up? When Colin Kaepernick was out of the league. And when the NFL front office did something about players not standing for the national anthem. After that, ratings increased 3 years in a row. I think the NFL is going to be fine. The ratings for this season are probably going to continue to drop. Possibly, they'll go back up after the election and once we get close to Thanksgiving and the push for the playoffs. But I do feel like in the short term, they'll continue to drop. One thing I do think the NFL needs to get corrected before the playoffs is having fans in the stadiums. I think that's a big deal. They have got to have fans in the stadiums for the playoffs. And not in some bubble, which the NFL has come out and said they weren't going to do anyway. But I'm talking about fans in home stadiums for the playoffs. But after this season, I think the NFL will be forgiven. And I think the ratings for the league will start going back up again starting next year. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button for me. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Are you guys watching the NFL this year? And if you're not, let me know the reason why you're not watching. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have any questions, a topic you'd like me to discuss, you can email me at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.